Hello and welcome to New Frontiers on CCTV International. I'm Ji Xiangqun in Beijing. In today's program, we are continuing with our major series about Chinese civilization. In it, we set out to illustrate the evolution of Chinese civilization through an investigation of archaeological discoveries, historical sites, and cultural relics. Today, nearly 500 years after the end of the Ming Dynasty, its achievements continue to fascinate us. The colossal Yongle Bell, for example, actually ran in the new millennium. Then there's the Forbidden City. And let's not forget the legendary voyages of Zheng He to the western seas. During the Ming Dynasty, great achievements were recorded in architecture, shipbuilding, porcelain making, and textile weaving. Chinese-made products became famous around the known world for their high quality and sublime craftsmanship.
Today, nearly 500 years after the end of the Ming Dynasty, its wonders continue to fascinate. There is the colossal Yongle Bell, which tolled in the year 2000 to celebrate the beginning of the new millennium. There are the golden glazed tiles in the Forbidden City that shine against Beijing's azure sky. And then there are the legendary voyages made by Zheng He to the western seas. During the Ming Dynasty, there were new achievements in architecture, shipbuilding, porcelain making, and textiles. Products made in China were already well known throughout the world for their high quality and supreme craftsmanship. But during the Ming Dynasty, Chinese technology was to reach an unprecedented level. In the process, adding yet more vibrant colors to the civilization of China and the world. Zheng He had brought more than 10,000 copies of books to give away in the hope of spreading Chinese civilization and traditional Confucian ideas. However, the items most welcomed everywhere were the beautiful silk and brocade pieces. 37 of the countries he visited received various types of Chinese silk and brocade. Most of the silk he took with him came from the south of China. The making of textiles had reached a peak, as could be seen in the fact that during the Ming Dynasty, textile making was the #1 handicraft industry in almost every large or small town in the south. Of all the textile industries, however, silk weaving was #1.
已经开始呢，逐步的摆脱了这个一夫一妻的那种自然经济的那种纺织业，一个人操作纺织业，开始了一种比较大型的手工业的这个生产，就手工工厂式的这种生产模式。所以它能够有一定的批量和一定的质量保障，至少我这一批的东西做出来它是一样的，它是一个水准的。这个呢，实际上是对传统手工业的一个革命，是个革命。那么它也是一个近代的一个工业的萌动，它是介乎于这两个之间的。
Silk weaving was the most fascinating part of traditional Oriental textile making. Oriental women brought together their remarkable skills and the beautiful images they had designed to make unique brocade. It is not only a part of Chinese history, but something that will last on into eternity. From a silkworm to silk and then to brocade, Chinese textile making had been through a magical process of innovation, and the silk and brocade produced opened up a road that linked Europe and Asia. In the early years of Christianity, nobles in ancient Rome found themselves charmed by the silk and brocade from China, describing it as rosy clouds in the sky. Through Chinese silk and brocade, they did their best to imagine the mysterious kingdom in the east from which it had come. Silk weaving had matured in China 2,000 years before during the Warring States period. Numerous silk products in a great variety of colours and embroidered in different ways have been unearthed from the tombs of that period. On October 5, 1957, archaeologists working on the inner and outer coffins of the Ming Emperor Wan Li had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the very finest brocade made during the 16th and 17th centuries. Both the outer and inner coffins presented a showcase of the best silk and brocade products of the era, and the 300 years that had passed had taken no toll on their brilliance. All of the pieces were precious, but without doubt the most invaluable was the gown of Emperor Wan Li, which was unbelievably light in weight, extremely thin, and highly transparent. Woven into the gown were the patterns of 17 dragons flying in clouds. The silk was of the highest quality imaginable, its threads very thin, yet highly durable. In 1983, the Nanjing Brocade Institute was entrusted by the Dingling Mausoleum Museum to produce a replica of the gown. Even with the experience it had accumulated over the previous 30 years, it took the Nanjing Brocade Institute 5 years to accomplish the task. Chinese silk and brocade products had enjoyed tremendous popularity worldwide since the Han Dynasty 2,000 years ago, right through to the Tang and Song dynasties. But the Ming Dynasty pushed the silk-making technology of Song to another peak. In the early 18th century, British Navy medical workers found out what had caused the deaths of so many men under Magellan and Columbus on their famous voyages. It was scurvy, a malady caused by a lack of vitamin C. However, 80 years before Magellan and Columbus, Zheng He sailors had not suffered from a single case of this disease, for with them on their ships were porcelain containers in which they grew bean sprouts for consumption while on board. Bean sprouts are a rich source of vitamin C. After Zheng He's voyages, the countries he visited began to make Chinese porcelain. The Ming Dynasty truly was the golden age of porcelain making. Among all the kilns that made porcelain in China during the Ming Dynasty, Jingdejian in Jiangxi, Longchuan in Zhejiang, Dehua in Fujian, Yuxi and Jianshui in Yunnan stood out, and each of them had their own specialties. Jingdejian produced a complete range of products. Longchuan specialized in shadowy blue porcelain, in Dehua it was white porcelain, and in Yuxi and Jianshui it was blue and white porcelain. Among the porcelain products Zheng He took with him, most came from Jingdejian, and they were the best. In Jingdejian, by the early Ming Dynasty, there were as many as 20 kilns producing porcelain for the exclusive use of the royal family. But apart from royal orders, a large amount of porcelain for the use of commoners was also produced in Jingdejian. Workers in the town toiled day and night, and the kiln fires blazed all year round. Some people called Jingdejian a town of thunder and flashes of lightning. Every process in porcelain making was clearly defined, from the preparation of the clay to the final firing, and altogether there were a dozen or more steps. Each step was handled by only one person, the one most skilled in that process. This division of labor was something like a modern-day assembly line. However, division of labor based on specialization and the use of an assembly line system did not hinder the artistic aspirations of the workers. Their works often revealed artistic leanings that were quite individual, proving that there was still some room for personal expression.
The Ming Dynasty was a golden age of porcelain making, wherein great advances were achieved in the production technology. Thanks to Zheng He and his voyages to the western seas, Chinese porcelain became famous throughout the world.
From finds brought up from the bottom of the South China Sea, archaeologists have concluded that during the Ming Dynasty, the amount of porcelain exported to foreign countries reached a record high. A large number of merchants from Arabia, India, Portugal, the Netherlands and Britain could be seen doing porcelain business in China. The amount of porcelain exported to the Netherlands alone came to more than 16 million pieces.
Museum 这个成立的中国瓷器来看，一个数量大，而且呢质量高，特别是一些收藏家，到现在为止我。在雅加达经常有报纸上有登载中国瓷器的销售和拍卖，特别是古瓷器的拍卖，这表明在人民心目中是非常崇高的，而且呢这个瓷器在有些庙宇里边当作神圣的这个物品来对待，人们在瓷器面前磕头烧香，希望得到瓷器的保佑，甚至把中国的瓷器神化了。
Chinese porcelain products, pale blue ones in particular, sold very well in Europe, America and Latin America. And this is the reason why in the English language, China the country and China, the other name for porcelain, have the same spelling and pronunciation. Put simply, China from China overwhelmed the world. While Zheng He's fleet was proudly presenting its dreamlike civilization to the countries and areas it visited, the builders of the Forbidden City in Beijing were working on the world's largest royal palace. Classical Chinese construction involved 8 separate tasks, and these had changed little in thousands of years. The 8 specialized areas were carpentry, brick and tile laying, stone masonry, joinery, earthworks, painting, color painting for decoration, and last but not least, paperwork on walls and ceilings. These jobs might not sound impressive in themselves, but working together, the craftsmen in these trades produced the man-made miracle that we know today as the Forbidden City.